Hi, everyone. Tracy here with the Oasis for Natural Healing, and wanted to talk a little bit today about like things that keep us stuck and what are some of the things that we tell ourselves and why are we not progressing in our health journey or your financial journey or whatever it is that you may be looking to improve on or change or whatever it may be. And we all have them. Like we all have those like little excuses where we can see things and they might seem impossible. And we're blinded by the problems rather than the abundant solutions that are actually out there. So whether it's, a health journey or whether it's a financial thing or relationship wise. So from a holistic standpoint and what I see, in my practice is, or I hear from patients is I can't do this because this costs too much, or I can't do this because I can't do what you're asking because I don't like the way that supplements taste, or I don't like doing this because I have to see you, every single week or whatever it may be. Or some of the other excuses that I see is, you know, um, that it's too hard or I don't, or that, I have to do a food log or I have to change something or it's going to be too hard to do this or whatever the case may be. Like there's excuses upon excuses. And I think we as people sometimes make things a little bit too hard for ourselves. And we don't see like all the things that are ruining, you know, and why we got here in the first place. And we'll make excuses like money wise or make excuses for, difficult or, I don't want to feel worse before I feel better. Um, and so we have like all these roadblocks or I don't have time or I have to take care of my kids first or I have to take care of my parents first, whatever the case may be. And this is why you don't get any better because people don't realize that when you start feeling better, you're able to do more things. You're able to do the things that you were able to do before. You can take care of your family members. You can take care of yourself better. You can actually start making more money. So I've had like patients who couldn't work. They had to give up their job. Or they had to change what they were doing and they had to step down from a position. And now they're just doing things part-time because they couldn't work full-time because they feel so horrible. And so, but people don't look at like the abundant solution. So like there's if you can't work from outside of your home, there's tons of jobs out there that they might not be something that you like. I'll give you that, but it's a temporary solution. So there's tons of jobs out there that you can work from the comfort of your own home if you're not feeling well and that you can work on, from the computer. There's always more solutions than there are problems. A mentor of mine told me that. And the problem is that most of us have blinders on and we can't see past those problems. So we get so fixated on the problem that we can't see the solution until like almost the sand is wiped away from our eyes. So what are some excuses that you've told yourself that is keeping you stuck with whatever position that you're in? And then my other question for people, and I've actually had a question myself this too, is why do we keep repeating that? Why do we keep repeating the same scenario and the same story? If we keep telling ourselves the same story, that story is never going to change. So why do we keep doing that to ourselves? Why do we keep saying the same story over and over and over again? Because then we just keep focusing on that problem rather than a possible solution. And then sometimes it's fear. Like we like where we're at. We like the attention that maybe that this position keeps us in. So because it sounds cruel, but it's true, if you're struggling all the time, what kind of attention do you get? And it might sound bad and things like that, but truly, attention, we like the attention, whether it's good attention or not, and I've seen this in even physical stuff, like people, they can do more for themselves physically, but instead of one of my own family members, um, he's older and I love him to pieces, and he's very capable of doing a lot of things for himself, but he wants other people to do it for him. And then he gets mad when we call him out on it. And for his own health, you know, we've kind of backed off on doing things like even getting water or whatever for him. And, but he likes the attention. He likes the people doing things for him. And that's not always the best thing. So sometimes, like, we do things and we don't even realize we're doing things so that way we can get attention. So we stay stuck in that situation, whether it's, you know, in a job that we don't like, because then we get to tell people about it and we get to tell people that, hey, I don't like this job and all the things that are wrong with it. And then you get some people that feel sorry for you and whatnot. So what are some, like I said, what are some excuses that you're giving yourself and why do you keep doing that? Because if you don't figure that out, things are never going to change. Things aren't things are going to stay stuck. So what are some things that you can do to get that to change? So stopping the scenario, doing something that's uncomfortable. So making small steps. So whatever project that you wanted to do and that you've made an excuse not to start, make small goals on starting that. Like let's say you wanted to have a new business, okay? And you say you don't have the money. So then start off small and start getting material to start the business. So maybe instead of like buying everything all at once, buy your business cards or buy, pens or, with your logo or buy you hire somebody to design your logo. You don't have to do everything all at once, but you're going to make small baby steps towards that new thing that you want to change. Or who says that, well, I want to change I want to get healthier, but it's going to cost too much. Okay. So who says you have to do everything all at once? So maybe you make small changes for where you get rid of your toothpaste. The toothpaste that is so toxic. So you buy a healthier toothpaste and you just start making small changes. So you're not doing everything all at once because that would be really expensive. If you were to get rid of everything toxic in your house, so just start with like something small. And it could just be something as easy as that. And that's going to get the momentum going. Instead of making an excuse, now you're putting action first. And it's small things like that. So you say you don't have enough money. Okay. So there's always ways to make money. We might not like it, but there's always ways to make money. So maybe, a small like side job that you work once a week for just a couple hours. Whatever the case may be, there's always something that you can do to get yourself out of that position. It's just that most people either don't like those choices or yeah, and most people don't like the choice or they don't want to have to do something extra. And sometimes we have to do something extra in order to get ourselves out of that hole because otherwise nothing will change. So just food for thought, just wanted to jump on because it's just something that I've been hearing it a lot lately from other people. And quite honestly, I've done that myself too in the past. I've made excuses for certain behaviors that I've done or certain things or certain situations. And again, nothing's going to change unless you change the dialogue in your head and you start making, as painful as it is, you start making changes and you start moving forward. And even if it doesn't seem like feasible, like there's been a lot of things where, like, even for myself, where money wise, it was like, oh, do I really have the money? And it's like, but if I really want this, like, I know that it will be beneficial and somehow lucrative and things will work out, and somehow they always do. No matter how scary it is, somehow they always work out. But a lot of us, we get stuck in that fear and we forget to trust and we forget, like, so I do a lot of praying. I do tons of praying to God and I ask for guidance, like on what I should be doing. And I'll be honest, sometimes I forget to pray too. But that's what I trust. And, if you put something on my heart, as scary as it may be, then I need to trust and move forward with that. And as scary as things may be, it works out in the end. And ultimately, besides God, nobody is going to care for you as much as you care for yourself. So do not expect somebody else to care for you more than you, except for maybe God himself. But that being said, then you also have to put that forward because God will never force you to do something. So just keep that in the back of your mind too. Because if you're not willing to do it for you, don't expect somebody else to do it for you.